Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing a review of City of Brass. This is the first book in the David Bod trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty. I did a buddy read of this with Dasha and both of us really enjoyed it. So I'm glad to say that a 5-star prediction was very close to 5 stars for once, because we all know that I really suck at trying to predict 5-star reads. But in this, we are following Nari, who is a con artist in 18th century Cairo. She has these interesting abilities. She has an affinity for languages. She can sense sickness in other people, but she doesn't know anything about her past. She doesn't have any family, so she's not really sure why she can do what she can do. So we have her point of view, but then we also follow Prince Alizade Al-Qahtani, who is the second son of the current king of Daevabad. Daevabad is currently on the brink of civil war between the Devas and the Shafites, and we learn a lot of interesting things through Ali's point of view. Eventually, these two point of views do converge. There is a little romance that ensues, not between the two of them, but there is little romance subplot that goes on. It is an adult fantasy, however, I did feel like it kind of read like YA. That may be because of some of the tropes that were included. I'm not really sure, but at one point I asked Dasha, I was like, wait a minute, is this YA or adult? But Nari is about 20 years old and I think Ali is 18 maybe. So it is classified as adult. Like I said, I did enjoy it. My rating right now is probably gonna be around 4.75. I'm not 100% sure yet. I think I need to sit with a little bit more, but I would recommend this if you are into adult fantasy. There is an amazing magic system and there are tribes that we learn of people who have affinities for fire, people who have affinities for water and different things like that. There's a ton of political intrigue as well as a little bit of found family. So if any of those things sound interesting to you, I highly recommend that you pick this up. I also recently bought this for both Jashana and Neeks for their birthday, so hopefully they both enjoy it too. I'd be really sad if I got them a book they didn't like. If you have not yet read The City of Brass but would like to, this is your official spoiler warning. So as per usual, let's start with the characters. I really enjoyed Nari as a character. I really enjoyed her point of view. It's really interesting to learn more about Daevabad through Nari's eyes, and I really appreciate how we're kind of on this journey with her about learning about her past, and so we find out information at the same time that she does. So the jinn that she calls is Daryavahush, or Dara, and I don't dislike him. I think also finding out about his past was interesting because he's literally like thousands of years old. However, I was not a huge fan of the romance between the two of them. I think I've come to the conclusion that I do not appreciate romance subplots in fantasy. I just rather do without it. It was sort of a forced proximity sort of thing, so if you like that trope, then you might enjoy it, but for me, I just wasn't a fan. It also kind of falls into the 1,000-year-old man and, well, she's not a teenager, but young girl, which we all know that I do not love. So I don't know, I just kind of felt like the romance was a little unnecessary, and then it seems like they're pulling in Ali to have like a little love triangle because Muntadir, his brother, is like, oh, you're in love with her, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't really love that. I just felt like it was unnecessary. Ali, on the other hand, though, it's not that I dislike him as a character, and we learned a lot of interesting things through his point of view, but all the interesting things that we learn when we're in his head are just the things that are happening around him, and he himself, even though he's the center, is boring as fuck. It just feels like he's not the main character in his own point of view, if that makes any sense. So I didn't necessarily love reading from Ali's point of view. I just felt like he was boring as hell, but we learned so much, especially like political things, from his point of view. And I don't know, just him as a character, he's bland. I don't like him. I don't really have particular feelings towards his siblings, Muntadir and Zainab. Zainab's kind of a bitch. She got Nari drunk the first time that they met. Muntadir is the... Sorry if you can hear children screaming outside. I guess it's playtime and I think they're playing basketball, so... Muntadir is an interesting character. He tries to keep Ali included in certain things, or like clue him in on things that are being kept from him, because typically second sons for the Khatanis do not exist because they want to avoid the second son potentially murdering the king or the crown prince to gain control. But his father did not want to kill him, he wanted to keep him. So Ali has been brought up from a very young age to lead the royal guard and to support his brother as king when that finally happens. So I don't dislike Muntadir, but I don't know, I'm interested to see what happens next. They have a bit of a falling out in this book, And so I don't know how that's going to shape their relationship in future books, but I am really excited to continue. I don't have strong feelings about the king. He's trying to be strategic and he exiles Ali, which isn't great, because what's gonna happen is that eventually he's going to be killed by someone, even though the king personally did not want to give the order or said he could not give the order for that. But I don't know, we'll see, because him falling into the lake and possibly being possessed by a Marid, like, it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out. So I am really excited to continue with the book. I think those are all of the main characters. Oh, well, there's Nari's assistant and the Grand Vizier. And there's some little conspiracy happening between the two of them that'll be really interesting. But I don't dislike any of the characters. I either like them or I'm a little indifferent at this point. So I will admit that when I first started this book, like a couple chapters and I was like, okay, there's so much happening. So I did end up, I do have a physical copy obviously, but I did end up also getting the audiobook on Scribd, which is really helpful just so that I was actually focused on what was going on and paying attention. But also there is a glossary at the end of the physical copy, so it has like general terminology for when Nari is called Banu Nahida. It's because that's the title for a female healer of the Nahid family. It also explains that there are beings of the earth, beings of fire. So the Devas are beings of fire, the Marid are beings of water, things like that. So that's really helpful if you do read this book and you're a little confused about all of the different things that are going on and why there's a civil war and blah, blah, blah. There is a glossary in the back of the book, which I found super helpful. There were a lot of interesting things that happened like in the last chapter of this book. So I'm super excited to read Kingdom of Copper. I did make a TBR for the rest of the year, but I might have to switch that up because I'm so interested in what's gonna happen next. But my questions currently for book 2 are, is Nari's mother alive? Because it seems like she is. The very last line of the book is, I think Manaiza can do anything. So I have questions for this woman. Like, why did you abandon your child? Where the hell have you been for the past 20 years? How did you fake your death? That'll be really interesting to see. Plus, that'll be an interesting family reunion for Manaiza and Nari. They're also talking about the possibility of Manaiza being able to bring Dada back, even though he literally like got dusted like he was an in-game. Like, I don't know how that's supposed to work, but they have his ring, which I'm interested to find out more about because Ali did chop off his hand to sever the ring from him, and that's how he dies. But when did they have time to get the ring back? So that'll be interesting. I want to see how Ali's doing since he's been exiled, but also there's clearly something going on with him and we didn't really get answers on what happened. There were hypotheticals and potentially this happened and actually the history of this did not happen the way it did. So that'll be super interesting to find out. The son of the Grand Wazir, Jamshid, who is also Muntadir's best friend, but I also believe there's a little romance between the two of them. He can heal himself too. So I wonder how that's gonna play out because right now nobody knows about that aside from the Grand Wazir and Nasreen, who was Nari's assistant. So that was a huge shock. Did not see it coming and I'm super excited to learn more about that. So yeah, those are my questions for Kingdom of Copper. I'm super excited to continue the series and I'm so glad that I ended up enjoying this book. Up to this point, honestly, I had not heard a single bad thing about it, but I'm glad that I am enjoying it. I'm glad Dash is enjoying it. I will most likely do reviews of both Kingdom of Copper and Empire of Gold when I get to them. So let me know if you've read City of Brass and what you thought of it or if it's on your TBR. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today and I'll see you in the next video.